Hi, everyone. I want to welcome you to our next session for AAC in the Cloud. I hope everyone's having a good day. We have for this session, Deidre, I told you it's slaughter it, sorry. Deidre Dobbels and Kelly Key for personalizing core vocabulary based on base communication systems. And we'll go ahead and turn the time over to them. If you do have any questions, please make sure you are on track number 2 in the Slack, and they will get back to you after the presentation and save all the questions for the end. Thanks.
All right, can you see it? Are we on there? Hi, everybody. I'm Kelly Key.
And I'm Deidre Dobbels. Hello from Chicagoland.
Yes, it's sunny out today and nice. We're excited to share with you, so we are going to get started right away. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so you don't have to look at us. And pull up the presentation.
All right, it's go time. There we go. We were really excited when we saw the theme of this year's conference, that thinking outside of the device, because that's something that has led to our students having so much success by thinking beyond just a core board, thinking beyond just an app, thinking beyond just a device. So we're really excited to be here with you today, and we hope you get some good ideas out of this.
Okay, so this is what we're going to cover in the next 50 to 60 minutes. And really, after a decade into our universal core vocabulary approach to language and literacy in Barrington 220, that's our school district, we have watched our students soar to new heights in their communication using core-based communication systems. While the core words remain consistent, the manner in which each student's access and use these core vocabulary systems is highly personalized. So our session, we're going to share our 10 unique ways that we have adapted core-based communication systems to meet those individual students' needs. So a little bit about me. I am the Assistive Technology Coordinator for our district. We come from Barrington School District, and we're in Illinois. This is my 20th year in Barrington. I have actually been the Assistive Technology Coordinator for 15 of those years, and this is 22 years that I've been in the field. I actually have always had dual roles up until 2 years ago. I have been an administrator as well as the Assistive Technology Coordinator for 13 of the 15 years that I've been the AT coordinator. And my background is a special education teacher. So I do provide all of the assistive tech in our district. I'm very passionate about presenting, and I'm so excited to share with you what's working in our district.
And I am Deidre Dobbels. I am a speech and language pathologist. My most favorite area to work on is AAC and language development and those complex communicators. I try to grab as many of those kiddos as I can and put them on my caseload. At this time in my career, I'm working at the Early Learning Center at Barrington, working with our 3 to 5-year-olds. However, I've worked in birth to 3 all the way up through middle school students in a variety of different manners, both public schools and private practice. So I'm really, really excited to show you some of the ways that we've really gotten our students' expressive language and social language really coming.
And just to mention, Barrington 220 is a unit school district, and I work from early childhood, from the 3-year-olds up until the student's 22nd birthday through transition. So what we have to share with you is for all ages as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we are preaching to the choir here. We know that you guys are here because you know core vocabulary is very important. I wanted to share with you 6 different talking points. So if you have someone who is new to core vocabulary, you can kind of explain why this is so critical in programming. So first off is that all people need and use core vocabulary to communicate. This is not just a set of vocabulary our AAC users use, or those who don't use traditional voice communication. We are all using core vocabulary. And really 80% of what we are all saying and reading and writing are these core vocabulary words. Estimates are between 300 to 400 words comprise a core vocabulary. By using core vocabulary, we are able to express a wide variety of intentions and concepts using that small set of words. I always think about real estate as I'm designing a board. These are those words that you are going to use so many times. These words can be used regardless of situation, throughout the lifespan, and with all the different abilities of both users and communication partners. Core vocabulary does align with classroom curricular and those Common Core standards. I know that is very important for those of us working in school settings to be able to ensure that we are working towards that common theme. And last but not least, it is critical for language and literacy development. In recent years, thanks to a lot of researchers working so hard, we are realizing that we really need to be looking at that literacy development in hand with that language development. And core is the way to go.
All right, so moving on to our core vocabulary initiative in our district, we felt like before we could go through and share with you all of these ways that we're adapting core vocabulary, we wanted to just give you a brief picture of what it looks like in our district and how we provide core vocabulary supports for our students. So it's been used in the most progressive school districts. It's research-based and established as a best practice. And we in Barrington are one of those districts. As I mentioned, our core vocabulary initiative has been going strong for over 10 years.
So cool.
And we now call it our universal core approach to language and literacy. So how does that look? We unify the classroom and our students' lives with core words and visuals. And all students with complex communication needs are exposed to and using core vocabulary and visuals throughout their day one when they enter the district. And we have found that this not only helps support our AAC users, but what's so exciting is we've found that many of our students that struggle with language and literacy have really, it's helped them so tremendously. So we use core vocabulary words taken from research to toddlers through adults on language and literacy. These are some places where you can obtain that information. And you're going to see this in a lot of our examples. We do use MinSpeak supports for all of our low-tech supports. Anytime a core word needs to be represented by a visual, we use these MinSpeak symbols. So we really try to stay consistent district-wide, early childhood through transition, and we use these pictures for our non-picture producing words. We call them our anchor symbols. Deidre's going to talk a little bit more about low-tech boards, but this is what we have. We consider really our core vocabulary approach a tier 1 intervention. Our low-tech boards are based off of PRC and LAMPS 32 and 84 boards. And just a quick video of, this is a video clip that one of the teachers had and shared with me. These are 2 little 3-year-olds in a classroom in early childhood. They're exposed to core day 1. I'm going to talk a little bit more about how we visually and verbally are modeling constantly. But because the modeling from the teachers, you're going to see just some of the language that is coming out of these little guys. So you see, that's just during an open playtime activity, and those 2 have decided to go over. There's core boards everywhere, of course, and because the teachers have been modeling on the core boards, they're using them then also to communicate. So as I mentioned, we model on these core boards and devices as much as we can. We always say we talk to the students visually and verbally. And we think in core when we're developing our lessons and activities. We always say, when in doubt, core it out. So these are just some examples. You'll see some more in a little bit. And these words and visuals are really embedded into all of our lessons and activities, both at home and at school. And we think in core when engineering our visuals and supports. And again, you'll see a little bit more of that at the end. And then we also lesson plan with core in mind. So we have 2 different approaches. We have that activity first approach where you have your lesson or activity and you pull core words and phrases that would be used throughout the lesson. We have a few different ways that we provide supports for staff to be able to do that. And then we also have a target vocabulary focus. So the lesson is centered around 1 or 2 target vocabulary words. And Deidre has developed an absolutely incredible curriculum. We call it our Powerful Words 16 that really helps our teachers with having materials and activities to go with those target words. And then we also do a lot with sharing resources. It's really hard for everybody to create, everything from scratch. And so we're all about sharing. And so what we do is we have a Google site that is dedicated to our core vocabulary, and staff have access to those. So for example, here at the bottom are some of our folders that we have, and if you clicked on one of those folders, you would see a lot of the resources. We have videos, and we have pictures, video modeling, the signs that go with those words, etc. And we're very, very big on providing ongoing training and support for our staff, students, and parents. It's so important to get people comfortable in order to have a successful initiative. So there's some of our pictures of our training. And the people that provide the training are people from our core vocabulary committee. We developed a small group many years ago, and it's grown and grown and grown. It's really even more of a virtual committee than anything, where we're constantly sharing resources and ideas and workshops and developing new ideas for the district. And one of our new incentives that we did last year that was a huge hit was Barrington's Next Top Modeler. Deidre and I actually created, what we felt like a good modeler was through this visual here. And what we do with this is we actually have these little tickets. They're in all of our buildings. Staff actually carry them on their lanyards that have their mini core boards in there. And if you see somebody modeling, you give them a ticket, they fill it out, and then they're all returned to me. Once a month, I pull prizes, and staff can get gift cards and bags and t-shirts. This is just a picture of one of our principals in a gen ed elementary school. He was very excited. He got 2 tickets in one day. So really, everybody is truly involved with this initiative. And then the biggest part that goes now with the rest of our presentation is that individualization. So what we do is we use the SET process. Most people are familiar with that. It stands for Student, Environment, Task, and Tools. Really looking at that individual student and their specific needs and the tasks you're asking them to do before you would look at then specific tools. And you're always talking about the features versus specific items. So we just gave you an example of what that one specific one looked like for a 3-year-old. And we don't have time. I won't have time to go through all of this, but you have them in the slides to kind of see what information we're gathering during this process. And this process, what's awesome about this is whenever we're considering individualizing communication for students, it starts off with a meeting. We don't have even paperwork or anything that needs to be filled out. It's contact Kelly Key, and we will all get together, parents, anyone that the parents want to bring. Sometimes I've had the student in there, especially if the student is older and moved in. And then all of the team members. We're all involved with this process. I facilitated as the AT coordinator and gather the information from everybody. And the best part about this is when you're starting with everybody involved from the start, it's amazing how buy-in is so much more powerful, because buy-in is incredible. People are using these tools because they were part of the selection process and the individualization process.
All right, so we have talked about our initiative, and because that initiative, our buy-in is huge, and the comfort level of our staff, our special education staff, and our general education staff, everyone is very well based in core. So because of that, we have been able to do some really neat personalizing of systems for children. So as we look at all these different things, the core words remain consistent, but the manner in which each student either accesses or uses their core vocabulary is very highly personalized. So we're going to jump into our top 10 uses right now. So the first thing, and Kelly kind of referred to this as our Tier 1 intervention. This is universally available in every building. You'll see stacks of them in different buildings. These are our 2 core boards. Kelly said earlier, they are based off of our smaller one, our 2832-ish, is based off Springboard Lite. And then we also, our 84 board is based off of LAMP. Usually we double side these, so you can pick up one board to use for a variety of things. You will find these all over the place in different locations and for different purposes. I want to show a little video right now. Kelly is working with a young man. This little boy has both pervasive developmental disorder style characteristics, and he also has apraxia of speech. He is a verbal speaker, but because of that apraxia combined with a lot of echolalia, it's very difficult to understand him when he is communicating without the assistance of the board. So Kelly has a game she's playing with, and she's modeling on the board, and then he's using the board also. So let's take a look.
Want to play?
I guess it's your turn. You asked so nicely. Let's see if he likes the carrots. Have you tried the carrots yet? Someone try that broccoli. He says, I don't like it.
There we go.
He's
so those
come so
core
far.
boards, they just really are magic. We have our boards done bilingually. We have both our 32 and our 84 boards done bilingually in Spanish. We've worked with some of our dual language teachers. We've also recently done a Korean board. We had a little girl coming in who didn't speak a lick of English, and because our staff is so fluent in core and knows how to navigate around a board, we decided to put the pronunciations of Korean words that way. So we've done this for a lot of different reasons, but we do kind of also have a large variety that we have in our sharing folders. One of my favorite things to do is to add some fringe to those. Here you'll see the back of a binder, and we have our 84 core board, and on top are some flip pages. We just have those in with the binder tops that you can flip to get that specific core vocabulary. So you can say something more like, I want ball. I feel hurt. We're getting some more of those things that are more fringy in nature.
Exactly. And we're putting very highly motivating things in there too, because through the set process, we find out what are the motivators for the students and what are they into, what characters do they even love to talk about.
Absolutely. And so while we are very core focused, we are very cognizant that that personal core, those words that might not comprise of the research 300 to 400 words, but are very important to the child and occur, that those are important to be part of a system. So, there are a lot of pre-made options available. We have links here, so you don't need to reinvent the wheel. Pixon Project is a great tool to look into by Gilman Tatenhove. Here's some other pre-made ones. Cough Drop has these. You can access them by going through their site. We're going to talk a little bit more about what Cough Drop has to offer. We also like the resources available on Toe by Dynavox. Saltillo has some great ones. We have the links here so you can go back and click on them. Prolo Quo has this nice one through Assistive Wear. No problem.
Click happy.
Not a problem. Unity and LAMP, you can find those at AAC Language Lab. There's free right there, so check those out. What we really like to do, though, is we often will just take a screenshot of a device page and print it out, and that becomes our core board. It's also a really nice tool to have for that no-tech backup, because we know that technology does have glitches from time to time. So that's just a really nice nugget to put aside. Take a screenshot, and bam, you have your home page of that core focus. When we developed this core initiative 10 years ago, a lot of members under Kelly's direction sat around and kind of figured out what words are important for us. What do we want? And there was talk at one point of designing our own, but we really felt that the words and the arrangements that we liked and the higher level technology that we were kind of pushing students towards as they evolved and their use did work well with the LAMP board and then that Unity. So we decided to use those. But we do know many districts who are designing their own core board. The one on the right, we really like this one. This one was designed by Lauren Enders, who just finished doing our amazing keynote about an hour, hour and a half ago. It was wonderful. She included this one, and she now has, I like how she included that alphabet piece also on there. So there is that one stop for that language and literacy. There's a lot of different ways you can coming out with your own core board. Let's talk more.
All right, so moving on to our more mid-tech static display devices. We found that there's some students then that obviously need a voice to get people's attention, but also we have found that adding a voice to devices often gets the students' attention more, and they're using it more, and they're more interactive with their device. This particular student, this is actually the student that I used in the set example, so you can kind of see how we got to this particular device. This is a TechSpeak 32 by AMDI. And what we love about it is how you can use those tech cats to hide vocab. I'm going to share a little bit more with that in a video in a little bit. But just a quick mention on this particular picture, you see the board that's on top of his device. We have the flip fringe at the top. The board here is actually a board for the staff to be able to model all of the words. So even though the student may only have access to 2 words at a time, staff is always modeling up with the full board. Here's another picture of a student, and you can see the flip fringe that we've customized at the top. This is actually a picture, I believe I got it from Matt Baud, one of my fellow colleagues that I present with. And I don't have any students specifically that utilize something like this right now, but for students that are visually impaired, I wanted to show how they have adapted it for the students. So each one of the core words has a different tactile piece to it, so they can know where the words are. And eventually with that motor planning with core, students really probably won't even need that anymore. And then we just here's some more examples of some core with static voice output devices, the attainment devices, the TextSpeak 32, the GoTalk 9, the GoTalk 20, so many different options out there. And then for those students that really aren't ready for a larger display device, we use single button devices like little step-by-steps or the little Macs. Put them around. We love those, and we'll put those around. So utilizing that core vocabulary all across the room to communicate. And then just a brief section on those high-tech devices and iPad apps. We're going to share with you how we've specifically adapted high-tech devices and iPad apps for communication. But just a little caveat to throw out there that there are so many apps out there. Apps and also high-tech devices. But the biggest thing is just to make sure that you're trialing and choosing the right fit. So, you know, a lot of people, I remember when we first were coming out with the robust AAC apps, there was only one app that was out there, and I bought 20 with the volume purchase. And if I gave every student that app just because I had 20 copies, it wouldn't meet their individual needs. If I have a device, you know, that's sitting on a shelf, yes, go ahead and trial that, but that may not be the final device. So taking a step back and going through that set process to make sure you're individualizing. Or if you do have 20 copies of that app, we're going to talk about how you can customize those apps to really fit individual needs for students.
That's a good leading,
Thank you.
Because number 4 is customizing a variety of apps. And so we have taken these pre-existing apps that have really nice navigation systems, rich vocabulary, and changed them based on information we get through the set process. So we'll share some of those with you. So we have used Proloquo to Go by AssistedWare for a variety of reasons, for a variety of children. And we have actually made our own vocabulary. Actually, we've just imported our own symbols so that you do have the symbols there and also some of the same arrangements of our core vocabulary board. By having that consistent symbols, it does help the students, but we find it does help the staff members a little bit more at that comfort level. You know, there's been a lot of research out saying that the symbol doesn't matter quite as much, but we do find that with the adults, it is helpful. So that's one way that we have done our customization. We have also decreased the number of buttons and taken just really high frequency things. So you see with the one on the left, we have play, feel, more, stop, go, eat, drink, and help. Again, they are using those MinSpeak anchor symbols that we use throughout our curriculum and our building and all our visuals. And on the right is one of my students whose family was very excited about starting the AAC journey, but they were they felt very strongly that he should have as many specific photograph pictures. And so we did that. We were able to just pop those in. And some of them, you know, were a little different, but he did a nice job with that initially. It really helped him and his family get on board. And now he has gone. He has gone to all the images. So that was a nice customization and pretty easy for us to do.
Yeah, so again, we had buy-in from the parents because we use the photos, but being able to put them in the same position and use that same color vocabulary as our low-tech boards, he's now easily transitioned in 2nd grade to LAMP Words for Life, and he's very proficient with that.
Yeah, we have a quick video to share with you right now, and it's showing how we mask. We took Proloquo to Go and we did a lot of masking so that there are 2 words, just my and turn.
Would you like a turn? You need to tell me.
You tell me.
How do we spell it? Okay, it's your turn.
So this is a friend that we've been trying to implement AAC with for a while. I would say more high-tech AAC because she's using a variety of different systems. But really by taking it, stepping it back where she really got that powerful moment, it was very helpful. And we quickly added more and more vocabulary. Here is a touch chat. arrangement that we used. A brand new user. It was actually recommended for him in early intervention, and then he transitioned into our program. And you see, we really kept it pretty sparse on his homepage. So we have that I want, we have people, and then we have those social things. But when you hit the I want, it'll then transition to the next page where you see to eat, to drink, to get, to go, to play. So we're getting a lot of those different high motivating things for him. And then when you get on, you'll get your fringe piece. So that was a nice adaptation that's been working well for him right now. When I fix the grid. Oh, you fixed it?
Yes.
Thanks.
I made it so the grid fits.
Oh,
because we had just gotten it. Yeah.
Yes, we just ordered that. So Clicker is another app that we've been able to customize. Again, we imported our symbol systems. That's been a really nice thing to use. It goes well with like some writing type activities.
So what we did here is, it's like if you've ever used Clicker Super Keys. What's awesome about this is it kind of goes with our physical access piece too, is that this is what their original board looked like. And then let's say you press one of these sections, that whole section pops up. Yeah, so students can do more direct access too.
So it's been really nice for our visually impaired students or those who just didn't do well with a lot of visual distraction. So we really like that. And then finally, you know, I guess even a year ago, we were having to customize for our CVI students. Now many devices have these CVI page sets available, which is really nice. So here's a picture of lamps. We were able to attend a seminar when they kind of rolled this out last year at Closing the Gap. But you can also adapt your apps to support students with CVI. You can increase the font size, you can make the text bold, change the font color, and change that background. So there's a lot of really nice ways that you can you know, make it easier for our students with cortical visual impairment to access their vocabulary.
All right, moving on to customizing access. So in a little bit, we are going to share how we do partner-assisted core. But before we do that, we have some other ways that we have customized access. The first example, this is actually one that Deidre created a while back for a student. The staff and the parents really felt adamant about having the student physically being able to share, you know, I have something to say, being able to get people's attention to the communication partner. So she made the first main page just like this on the student's iPad. The student had it connected to their wheelchair, so it always was with him, and he could reach up and he could press, reach out his hand, and it would say, I have something to say.
Any button you touched.
Exactly, that home screen. Then it took him to his main core page / pod page, partner assisted page. And what's nice is it has some of those intentions, but also the core words. And this student could not physically access beyond just that gross motor, you know, big touch with his hand. So he couldn't isolate his finger movements. So now at this point, he is using either partner assisted through a verbal smart partner, or he is using, now we're working on switch access.
And early on, you know, we spent a lot of time with this little kiddo working on that access piece. So many people were very tuned into it. His occupational therapist. He had multiple physical therapists. We didn't want to lose time in between. So this was a really nice meet in the middle.
This is for a student at the high school level. He is in a wheelchair and he just has a very difficult time. He can speak and he didn't want a full-blown communication system, but there's a lot of people, if you are not familiar with him, that it's difficult to understand him. And so he can use one finger on his hand and can't really cross midline very well. So how we've customized the buttons is we've customized the width of the buttons. So he is actually able to move his hand up and down pretty well, but can't cross midline. So we made it so all the buttons are accessible by either going up or down. And it's worked really well for him. Then other alternate access. This is my student, Dan. If you recently saw the most recent blog on AAC Language Labs, that was my Dan. He's pretty incredible. He made even an iMovie about him and his experiences and that. But Dan, even though he does have a device that has an infrared head pointer, he actually prefers his head stick. And so his dad has always worked with us to customize using his head stick. So that's one of the ways that we use alternative access. He uses touch chat right now with Core. And this is just a quick video of him. He's actually we do a lot of Google Hangouts with students from across our schools. And so Dan is in the high school, and he's doing a Google Hangout with another AAC user that is at our one of our middle schoolers. So this middle schooler on the computer uses Lamp Words for Life. Dan uses Touch Chat, and they're really building a nice friendship via Google Hangout. Oh, let's see if I can get that to play.
Come on, video.
Okay, he's telling you. All right, so you get the idea. He was asking how was your weekend, and he was explaining to him how his weekend was. This has been such an awesome experience for our students to be able to do these Google Hangouts with one another and get to know one another. And then we'll even have like an activity at the end of the year where they'll meet in person. So it's been great, even for our younger AAC users. So and then this is the alternate access with the head pointer. And just for the sake of time, I'm not going to show the video, but he uses an accent with the head pointer. Then we also have switch users.
This is the same young man who we started off earlier, so you can see where he's grown.
Yeah, so we're always looking at direct access. That's our ultimate goal. But again, working on switch access is just one other option. So this is the OT and the speech therapist, and we're working with switch access. And you're actually going to see his new switch access page sets also in partner assisted part of our presentation. Let's see if I can get the video going.
More. More. Stop. Go. Alone. Mine. Play. What did you hear? What do you do?
Play.
So this was early in his learning switch access. He was doing the two switch access. All right, the next section is the phrases or approach to or picture exchange. And so we have, some students that really still need that help with being able to initiate conversation or being able to initiate communication. And so we've had a lot of our teachers and speech pathologists that have been very clever with how they've approached this by using core vocabulary. And I know there's other systems out there now that you can actually purchase. I think there's one called the Core Vocabulary Exchange. Yeah. So definitely look into that. But how we've adapted this with our 32 board for our students that were young is our teachers would actually then have they would have our boards, but then the symbols they were able to take off. And then put onto like an I want strip or an I see strip. Just work on that initial communication. If they wanted to play, they could take play off and they knew to walk over to the teacher and hand it to them. So it really helped work on communication and initiation for some of our students. And a lot of our students, again, that personal fringe is very, very important. So we have their textbooks set up by personal fringe core words. So eat, it's that same symbol and the same word. Play, their favorite things to play. Read, so those are all their favorite books. And some of our students, we've had to actually, I had a student that had significant OCD. And when we moved him up to a high-tech device, after a couple of weeks, he was adamant that he had to be on the same page. He always had to go back to the same page. Mm-hmm. And so he had a hard time even communicating because he was perseverating on being on that one page. So what we did was we actually took screenshots of every single page of his in LAMP, and we created him a low-tech core exchange book. Fortunately, he's back on his device. He saw the power of being able to put the words together and how slow and cumbersome this was compared to his device. So now he's back to his device as well. And then this is the device that you saw earlier. And what we've done with one particular student that was having a very difficult time with even having more than 4 or 5 buttons available at a time is he would get so overwhelmed that we started, depending on the activity, we would have certain buttons open that were specific to that activity. So again, that's that full board to model at the top. And so I sat down with the team and we talked about, like, what words are we going to have available during snack time, like eat more, drink? What words will we have available during playtime? You know, go more, play. So this is a quick video. This is actually a video of me introducing the student to this device the first day. What I like to do is, before I train the teams and the family on how the student uses it, providing tips, I always like to show a video of the student using it. And I also, for our data collection, we're very, very big on collecting videos for data collection. So I always have videos of the very first day a student's ever been introduced to devices or to their device, just to kind of see that baseline.
Want to color the rainbow? Okay.
Are you telling me I want to stop? Should we go play? Should we stop eating and go play?
You can see me modeling on the main board.
Henry, I'm going to put your name on this, okay?
Bye. Let's go. Play. Play. Oh, you want to eat more? Okay.
And of course, eating is very motivating. So I wanted to show him the power because, you know, we wanted to be able to show him the power of using his voice. So, you know, obviously you can do this with our high-tech devices very easily. You can use Vocabulary Builder or the hide show buttons on the devices. So this is an example of, again, very first day I introduced the student to his device. And I have the wiggles playing because during the set process, we found out that was very motivating, but we only have 2 buttons shown here. For the video?
Oops, I think it was.
Let's see here.
Go, Wiggles, go.
It is stopped. We need to make it. Go. Tell me. Make it. Go. You tell me.
Provide that wait time. Actually, a peer ended up coming over and saying go. So that was pretty motivating for him, which was cool. Again, during that specific activity, we had everything masked but those 2. But of course, we open it up for the students to be able to communicate more. And then, like I said, on our devices, it's certainly an option on those high-tech devices as well.
So partner-assisted core. If you meet me, I can be a little awkward. If we're like an AAC place, I might say, I love pod.
Yes, she does.
I really do. As a speech-language pathologist, the amount of language, the way you can link words together, I love it so much. I actually went into labor during one of Linda Burkhardt's 2-day trainings on pod. I had to stay because I had to have every single ounce of it. I freaked her out a few times saying things to her like, yeah, I was in labor and I kept watching because you're so amazing. But anyway, I still really do love those partner-assisted core type ways. And so I'm going to share with you some of those ways that we've used pod type things or partner-assisted methods to work on core vocabulary. So this is a student I work with right now. We have some access difficulties. We have some vision difficulties. We made a high contrast core organized pod book. And so her front page is I have something to say with an adorable picture of her. And then as we go through, all of the different tabs are focused on the core words. So we have I want, I like, help, let's go, I don't like, do something. And you can see those symbols are still right there. So we go through the process of saying all the different ones. Originally, we were looking for a smile or a head movement. Now when we get to the page that she wants, or if she even wants to initiate communication, she will take her hand and slap down. So when that book is always on her tray, so she can slap down and say, I have something to say. From there, then we start navigating through the book. Do you want to talk about something you want? Something you like? It's been amazing for her. This is a little girl who people in the building thought maybe, understood maybe 5 words. And I think we have over 180 words in her book right now. And we could have a lot more in there. It's really opened up worlds for her. She can even say, I'm frustrated because my sister is doing something, her younger sister. That's huge. That's autonomy. So this has been a very helpful tool while we're figuring out that axis for her. We don't want the language to go to the wayside. This is just a page that I added to a modified pod style book. I just put in as our second page. If you see, there are our different starters. If you look down on the bottom, you'll see the starters, which has all those different stems. And then the next page is core. So you can start off by saying, I have something to say, and then go to your core page. Sorry. I want, help. And then from there, you can see where you transition next to. So this has been another nice thing in teaching where all those different things lead to. So if you want to get to yogurt, you're going to go to the word eat. It's been a really nice tool also. This is for a little boy who we worked with early on who also had CVI. We did this both on paper, and then he was very intrigued in kind of taking things off. So we also did it on cookie sheets with magnet paper. Again, we have a lot of those things like I want, eat. We embedded all those words in there. When you go to something's wrong, then he has this more specific things. This was a student that we worked with after going through the Every Move Counts training. We gave just two kind of options. It was by gaze. Do you want more or are you done? If they chose more, then, we would give them more. Sometimes it was, do you want to eat or do you want to be done? We always had something else in the bottom. And so she did the 3 different target areas to identify what she wanted. This is back to the little boy Kelly was talking about. We did start off with that different access. So every button here on this Proloquo page on the black and yellow will go to I have something to say and then navigate to our core pod home is what we called it. If you see on the left side, there are those different intentions, a lot like that pod layout. So quick words, I've got news. This is really important for the family going back and forth so they could quickly give him access to things that he wanted to say. Later, therapeutically, we could go back and use the core to help him say it other ways too. Something's wrong. This was a little boy who did have some pain from side to side, so that was something also we wanted him to be able to communicate quickly. Help, and I need something, I want something. The rest of the vocabulary here, and I'm using my pointer here on my computer to scan across.
Can you see our pointer?
I don't think you can see that. But then we arranged it so it can scan from the left to the right. So we would say, is it a person word? Is it a doing word? Is it my feel row, my read row, my eat row, or my please row? We spent a lot of time kind of teaching him what these were in. And so he would let us know where we were by saying, huh? So after he did this, I have something to say, we then became that smart partner, but we go through it. This was a really nice tool. It did combine that technology piece that the parents wanted and that the rest of the team, it gave them some nice exposure to how to use the device. We can skip it. Yeah, we don't have time to show the video. We're so wordy. I'm sorry. Here's a little video of him using it. So it shows the activation. And then his speech therapist right now who works with him is then being a smart partner and giving him those choices, waiting for him to give that affirmative yes. Here he is now. Did we talk about this already? Where he was kind of doing that Skype FaceTime with?
Yeah, so I mentioned it with another student. So this is him working again, doing a Google Hangout with another student, and I'm his smart partner.
And then we did end up making a paper copy of everything in his book, in his iPad array. So that was really helpful. The parents actually requested it, and we were very happy to oblige. So we made several of these. It has those rules to start. And it's just a very nice copy.
The parents actually told me that because we made one they were in those little mini photo albums, that they would bring them out at dinner, and each one of them, his little sister, his mom, his dad, his nanny, they all had a photo album. They all had one, and they would model talking to him.
Love it.
On theirs. So that was super cool.
So this is something that is in the works for this little friend. This is now on Compass. So this is a core pod arrangement. Kelly, you've had a little bit more experience with this. Do you want to talk about?
Yeah, so again, this is a student that you saw in the switch access video, and we really wanted him to have more control over his device. And he really was getting a lot better with the switch access, the two switch access. So, and also his parents and his nanny, no matter how many trainings we did, it still didn't feel like the right fit when they had so many buttons on one screen. They were still overwhelmed. So we decided to customize it into 8 different main categories. And so this will actually go through left to right. The student is actually starting to say a couple words, and he knows his colors. Yay. So he can actually say approximations of the color words. So he can either tell us where, you know, what he wants to say based on the color, or again, he can switch through, go through quick words, something's wrong, I want, select I want, and then it goes to his I want page, and he can scan through those. It's pretty awesome. So this is an example of like, if you went to I have a question, this is what his question page looks like: who, what, where, when, why, how. If he selected where, then we have specific questions that go with the word where. Where is it? Where are we going? So it's really nice for those student that needs to access via switch or pod.
Yeah. All right, let's talk portable core.
All right, portable core is one of my favorite things to talk about because it's always with you, the adult modeling. Also, a lot of our students have portable core as well. Every time a student gets a device, we take a screenshot of their main page, and they actually, on the back of their main core board, I think they got this from Rachel Langley. She's phenomenal. It says something like, don't leave my voice in a bag, take out my talker, charge my talker, talk to me using my talker. Yeah. Little visual for the adults when they get home or when they get to school to remind them. And in the training, I show them this, you know, and I give it to the parents to put it on their bag. But we as adults, whether it's gen ed, special ed, we all wear these. Principals, they wear them around, we wear these around our lanyard or around our neck. We have a variety of different kinds. Some of the staff really like the bigger core boards. So I think it was Marlene Cummings that actually showed me how you can fold the core board, and we have little clear Velcro that makes it closed. And so it can hang on your lanyard. You can pop it open and have a little bit bigger core board. But our main ones right here that you can see, these are actually the shirts that Deidre and I are wearing right now as we speak, because we're all about promoting our core. This is where we have these in, we bought them on Amazon. They're just little clear badge holders. And they're nicer because they're a little bigger and they're pockets. So again, just like our low-tech boards, one side is our 84 board, the other side is our 28 board, and you can open it up and keep all your modeler tickets on the inside too. What we have found, and it's so exciting, is not only are our staff using them to model, but students are coming up and seeing them and they're like, those are my words, and they'll use them to communicate as well, especially when on the playground or in the gross motor room. These are also some of our favorite things. Gail Van Tatenhove showed me this years ago when we presented together. And this is called a coach's wristlet or a coach's playbook. You can find it on Amazon. And these are portable core that you can pop on. You can customize and put your boards in there. And you can pop them on your wrist or a student's wrist. Originally, I purchased them for the district to put on the adults' wrists. The PTs and OTs loved these because they could crawl on the ground and stop and be able to model right there on their arm. And you can open them up, like as you can see in this third picture, and we've even put specific phrases in there that the students can use, maybe if they're more verbal. But Deidre and her team had a brilliant idea. This first picture is a student that no matter what, you know, especially in early childhood, no matter how much modeling they did, they would run around, that staff would run around, the student would run around, the staff would be following them with their core board, portable core, whatever, but they'd have a really hard time, you know, necessarily always having it with them at all times. This particular student wouldn't take ownership and carry his, so the staff put it right on him. Deidre had it put right on him, and what they found is actually that tactile pressure of when he was using it or an adult was modeling on it really helped him with focus and attention, but also just the motor plan of where the words were. So that was really cool.
I miss him.
Oh, the portable core really started off though with this little tiny button here. As you saw, we're all about having core t-shirts and bags and promoting core. So after I did our initial core vocabulary training 10 years ago for all of our special services staff, every staff member got a core vocabulary button to put on their lanyard. And so this is our 28 board. And so one day I had a teacher call me up And she was like frantically excited. And she was like, Kelly, oh my gosh, we need portable core everywhere. We need these boards everywhere. We need to have them everywhere we go. And I was like, okay, calm down. Okay, great, of course. And I said, why, what's going on? She said, well, I had a student today. He was getting on the bus. His device was in his backpack. And he was walking onto the bus and his shoe became untied. And he actually was just about to melt down because his shoe, couldn't communicate. He didn't have his words with him. And he looked over, and just as he was falling to the ground in his meltdown, he saw my tiny little button on my lanyard. And he said, I want help, please. And she was like, we need this everywhere. So he was like, oh, my words. So the magic of having it available at all times is so powerful. And then we love this waterproof, drool-proof paper. You can get that on Amazon. It's not cheap, but it's great if you don't have access to a laminator or you need to be able to fold something. Toby Donavox has come up with this little portable one. It's like the size of a business card, and it's just a core board printed on the weatherproof paper, and you can keep those, parents can keep them in their purse, or their dad can keep them in his pocket or his wallet. Just a nice way to be able to have that portable core available.
All right, we have just a few minutes left, so I am going to go through this very quickly. We also like to use classroom boards and displays. We call it our big core.
Big core.
Big core.
I think we got that from Lauren, too.
I think it is.
Yeah.
We like to borrow things from our friends. This one that you see here, this one takes up a large whiteboard, probably 5 feet by 4, I don't know. It's pretty big. And they are all individual symbols and then put on. To
yeah,
get
so
it
you
that
can tear
size.
them off and they have the same one behind it.
This is a bulletin board in our hallway. It's right by where all the kids bicycle, so they can quickly have modeling there. They can come up and say things to us. We found lots of different places to get things printed. Office Max and Office Depot. You can have, I believe these are called yard signs, printed up. Again, they have that weatherproof piece and they're a little bit thicker. This is something I had printed up from Vistaprint. It's very good size. I use this often as a placemat during snack or during like watery activities at a table. That was Vistaprint. If you catch them at the right time, you can get them made for $5. They also roll up really nicely. This is, I'm going to skip right through this because we're so close on time, but this is a teacher using that class board, and she's using an activity right here called Shape Monster. So she has Velcroed on top the fringe that goes with the activity they're doing, and she can quickly switch that out if she's doing another theme. We have also used Boardmaker Plus to create some interactive class boards.
Maybe just play that one.
Okay.
We can go to,
We'll see, Miss Jenna. Okay.
But what I like about this is it's like our music group. So the kids come up to the board and they'll say, I want to.
How cool is that?
It's not calibrated. It's not calibrated. It won't calibrate.
So that's a really neat use of having that whole classroom core available, and having that interactive piece has just been tremendous.
And to be able to attach to the video when the student comes up and says, I want to play, and then they select what they want to play, and then the video pops up. It's so motivating.
Very powerful. Okay. Oh, sorry. Let's go back. Here's someone also using, we're very fortunate that we do have smart projection boards in all our buildings, and we know that's a gift. One thing we have learned over time is if you see the shadow right here, is that you do want to kind of move to the side when you're doing it, and we do really like our pointers to help. A magic wand also works very well
because we say core is
one
magical.
of our things. And Kelly, I'm going to move it over to you. Our number 10 is to really think, breathe, be core everywhere you go.
So I mentioned this when I talked about our universal core approach. So I'll breeze through this so we can get some questions at the end. But in you again, we're going to talk about how you can access our slides. We turned in our handouts weeks ago, but we see that it's not on the website. So we're going to show you that in a couple minutes. So you'll have access to all these afterwards. But just to see the power of embedding your visual supports core within your visual supports, giving students the language you want them to be able to use. This is such a cute video, but I'm going to skip through it.
I know,
it's
so powerful.
So these are just a bunch of examples, early childhood through high school, how staff are using our coring out, when in doubt, core it out, our visual supports for our students. We also build it into our daily routine. So seeing like their note home, their reward chart, their schedules are all cored out. embedding it into our curriculum. You know, the word walls are in the same place as our core vocabulary boards. We're using writing with core, whether it's clicker or low tech. And so you can see just tons of different ways that we've adapted it. Social activities, again, our speech pathologists and our teachers work closely together, and providing that social connection and adapting games with core is something we do on a regular basis.
So closing the gap, last fall, I was able to attend a workshop done by Brian of Cough Drop that introduced the communication workshop. This is a tremendous tool, people. It's a really nice sharing site. So really, you don't have to reinvent all these things. A lot of them are here. So if you look up the communication workshop, I do believe that it is a free component of Cough Drop. You'll see this is just some starting words. If you touch on the word go, you're going to come up with a whole variety of activities. Let me see. Okay, I didn't put too many on. You're going to find prompts. You're going to find stories. You're going to find videos. This links you to the song How Far I'll Go by Moana, which I have been singing in my head since we added this slide this morning. So there is a treasure trove of there. It's also a site where you can share a lot of these opportunities. So we have loved having this resource to go to. Okay, so we want to know, how have you personalized core vocabulary-based systems for students? If you want to send us a quick message, we'd love to share that. We would love to learn from you. I'm going to go out just for 1 second because we did have to update something real quick. Oh, sorry.
You can see my family.
There's the Key family. Okay, now we
just
can go back.
Refresh. You hit refresh.
Refresh.
Yeah. We added the slide so you can have the Google, so you can have the link to the bit.ly of our handout, our slides, all of the above. So that's why she is refreshing.
Yeah, we're sorry. We did not realize that. And we
didn't realize the handout wasn't on there, but you have access to the bit.ly link.
Sorry. We're close, we're close, we're close.
You're good.
It's tired today. It's like no more.
Summer.
Is that where we are? No. Okay, here we are.
Ta-da!
So this is our bit.ly link. If you go to bit.ly, and again, that's case sensitive, personalized core, you're not only going to get our handouts, but you're going to get some resources from us. That's going to take you to a Google folder.
If there's anything you want to see that's not in there that we've shown today, feel free to put that, type it into the Slack, and we'd be happy to add.
Mm-hmm.
This is just real quick. I want to mention that, we do that Google Hangout quite a bit with our students to students. It's been such a powerful thing for our students to be able to communicate and make connections with one another, with other people that use AAC. And so Dan, my student Dan and I have been working together since he was 3, and we created this Facebook site. It's called Talk with Others That Use AAC. If you have an AAC user that wants to connect with other AAC users, please have them get on there and sign them up. I just need to approve it, and they'll be on the site, get ready to connect. And do you want to hear more from us? We love sharing what's working and connecting with others. We do have some presentations coming up. We are presenting a pre-conference, a full-day pre-conference. It's Model Magic 2.0. We're really going to get you comfortable with using core and teach you all of those great partner skills to help support your AAC users, low tech, high tech, mid tech, and also then teach you some specific activities that you can go back and do with other core, with other staff, students, and parents to teach them. So that's going to be a really exciting one. Deidre is going to do a StarNet conference. If you're in the Chicagoland area, please look that up. And then we are doing a session at ATIA next winter, I guess it is.
Yeah, it's cold in Chicago. We're going to go to Florida.
That's right.
Okay, so this is a project Kelly and I have kind of had in the works for a while, and we really do want to make it happen. If you are interested in an immersive core vocabulary experience, we are looking at doing a core camp. It'll be probably June of 2020, but you will leave feeling very comfortable, and you'll have a whole lot of experiences to become very fluent in core. If you'd like more information, go ahead and send us an email at aaccorecamp@gmail.com. We'll also have more information. Oh, whew.
1 minute to spare.
We're talking.
No, you are just fine. Oh my goodness, ladies, You are the cutest. Your staff is amazing. I think all of us, I see several other commenters, want to just move over to Chicago and work for you guys now. Oh my goodness. That was so great for all those products. And I am blown away with how amazing your staff is and how everybody's just fully submersive, even the principal and everything.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Okay, you guys just need to be in charge of like sped across the country. That was amazing. I love it. I love it. Love it.
Yeah.
You're the cutest. Well, we want to thank everybody for attending this conference. I hope everybody learned as much as I did. This was absolutely amazing. We will have this, if you want to reference, sorry, let me turn it over. If you want to see their slides, we will get that referenced on our website, and we will post this YouTube link later and save it so that if you ever need to come back and reference it again, we'll have it available. Deidre and Kelly, I cannot thank you enough. That was absolutely amazing. Thank you so much.
Well, we love this conference. Thank you for being a part of us, letting us be a part of it.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
You guys are the best. Thank you for attending. Thank you for your help. And we just hope that everybody has a great day.
Thank you. Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks.
Bye.